What is up, everybody? We back again with another video. As you can see, we're on the truck, we at work, we're running, all is good. So getting your foot in the door with trucking. See, it's like a lot of times we just worry about the end game before we even get started. What I mean by that is that, like, you know, everybody want to know how much money can you really make in trucking. Like, is trucking good money? Should you be an owner operator? Should you lease your truck on? Should you stay a company driver? And all of these things really depends on you, and it starts with the first step, which is going to trucking school or paying for your CDL, however you want to do it. So the main thing is decisions you have to make is what way you're going to go to get your CDL to begin with. So are you going to go to a technical college and they have grants and stuff for you to be able to, you know, go to school and get your CDL, or you can go to a company and get your CDL. Either way, if you go to school and get your CDL, right? If you go to a technical college to get your CDL, yeah, you may not owe any money to the actual trucking company for, you know, training you and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you still are going to have to go to one of these, I would say, new entrant companies, like a company that's going to take you with zero experience. You're going to have to go to that company anyway. So my personal opinion, I find it a little bit easier to just go to a company that does the training and does all of that stuff for you, because they're going to provide you with stuff like that in order for you to obtain your CDL, right? So before you do that too, I recommend go to your state DMV office, or your state, your city, whatever city you're in. If you have a local DMV office, go into the DMV office, and I want you to get your CDL permit. I believe you should go to the school, whatever school you're going to go to, already with your CDL permit in hand. By me doing this, I only been in training at CR English for 1 week. By the next week, I was on the truck, on the road, driving the tractor trailer truck. Just by going there with my CDL permit already. Now, I'm not sure for how all the other schools do it. Like if you go to Prime, Swift, or wherever, all of these companies are pretty much the same. Like, I recommend too, another thing that I would suggest, or I'm gonna give you a suggestion, right? If you're gonna go to trucking school and you don't know what school to go to, I suggest like doing your research and find a school that's close by where you live and got freight that comes close by to where you live, so you can get home on home time and stuff like that if home time is important to you. If home time is not important to you, then you can pick whatever school that's going to have or going to give you the most training pay, and that's going to actually train you how to drive a truck too, because that's important. You can go to any of these schools, pick any of these schools that I just named or mentioned, and you're not going to get the training that you want. I know a lot of people say or talk about Prime is the prime place to go to get your CDL, because typically they pay more and people are going to have the best driving experience. So I've heard working with Prime, from everybody that I listen to and hear on YouTube, has been the most consistent with people having not too bad of an experience getting started there. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting your foot in the door and what you want to do far as your trucking career. Do you want to stay a company driver? Do you want to get in it, start leasing a truck? Do you want to get in it to eventually buy a truck, become an owner operator, lease a truck on, or get your own authority? All of these things you need to know from the beginning. Like, where do you want to go as far as your trucking career? I know you may not know right up front on what you want to do, or even if you wanted to stay in trucking at all once you get started with it. You might get behind the wheel of a truck and feel like, you know what, this ain't what I want to do. But if you are going to stick with it, I think you need to be thinking more so long term. And that brings up another very important situation, the topic that I talk about all the time, which is while you're on the road and you're establishing yourself, getting your experience, if your goal is to eventually buy a truck within the next couple years or next 3 years or so, after you've, you know, ran a truck, you got your training in, and you got your experience in, you paid your due diligence to the trucking business, and now you want to take a look into getting your own truck, it's going to be very challenging, because if you don't have your credit in order, yeah, you can get a truck. Somebody told me too, someone was like, you know what, having good credit, I like to buy everything cash, right? So I guess you can go out here and You can run 3 years. You can save all your money, buy yourself a truck. That's good too. That's good too. But starting out, do you really want to take $20,000, $30,000? Imagine now, you can go buy a cheap truck, but if you're going to be over the road, then you might want to consider buying a decent truck that you can spend a lot of time in. You're going to be sleeping in the truck. You're going to be spending all your time on this truck, away in this truck. You're going to be on the road. So I suggest buying you a decent truck. So you're talking about $40,000, $50,000 truck. Now you can buy a $20,000 truck from the auction, a $15,000 truck from the auction, but is that going to be a road truck? Is that going to be a truck that you can rely on if you're going to be doing OTR with that truck? So that is something to keep in mind. It's nothing wrong with buying a $15,000 truck, $20,000 truck, but I feel like those trucks are more like regional, doing out and backs, and you're in a vicinity to where you can get to a shop or whatever if something goes wrong with the truck. Otherwise, you need a nice reliable truck that's going to get you up and down the road, safely. So with that being said, if you don't have your credit, or you haven't been working on your credit, because believe it or not, if you don't have any derogatory items on your credit, right? Yeah, you might have doctor bills and stuff like that, but if you haven't borrowed any money and just simply said, I'm not about to pay it back, or have credit cards that you felt like you let get charged off and stuff like that, those are going to be more challenging situations. But for those who don't have any of that and you want to start building established credit, in those 2-year time frame, you can definitely build that and get a decent interest rate on the truck. And the reason why I said it is because when you go out to buy yourself a truck, people like to say, oh yeah, you know what? I paid for my truck cash. Listen, do you really want to give up all of your capital, $40,000 you save, and put it all down on the truck when you can buy a truck with a decent interest rate and use that truck to start making money so that truck can pay for itself, and you can keep your $40,000, $50,000, $30,000 or whatever you saved up in the bank, and then let that truck kind of pay for itself. And then as it get closer to the payoff time, then you can take 10 or 15 and go ahead and pay it off. That way you only paid on the truck for 1 or 2 years, and that will cut your interest payments even down more. What most people do though, they want to act like they bought their truck outright in cash, but in reality they didn't. Their credit was horrible, so they went and bought a truck and they put down $15,000. Their interest rate is 18%, and because they didn't work on their credit, or they don't care about their credit, or you don't have to have credit, or whatever the case may be, you done paid, $18,000, $20,000, $35,000 in interest alone. You could have bought 2 trucks. So, believe me when I tell you, like, it's important to work on your credit, especially on the business side. If you want to start a business, you can have it all. You can have your personal credit in order, and then from that point, you can use your personal credit to leverage business credit to get you even more funding and equipment and all of these different things. And I'm not talking about, don't get a misunderstanding. Don't think I'm talking about just going out there and buying everything and all your equipment on credit. That's not what I mean by no means. But what I do mean is that you can go and you can buy anything that you want, for little to no money down, using no money out of your pocket, and having all your equipment pay for itself. And you can do this within a 1 to 2 year time frame, whatever, time frame, and give yourself a time frame too that you want to set to have all your business taken care of. So if you buy a truck, and you're adding it to your fleet, you want to say, okay, I'm gonna buy this truck over here and I'm gonna be done paying for that truck in 2 years or 1 year, meaning that, the payment's gonna be a little bit higher, $1,500, $2,000 a month, but I'm gonna pay that truck off in 1 year. And you can do that way. If you're going to start off going to trucking school, make sure or have some idea, have some type of idea of what you want to do going forward. Once you get in the game, where do you want to go? It's nothing wrong with getting in the game and say, you know what, I'm gonna start here, and then I want to go work at, FedEx or UPS or a good small trucking company that pays decent. You're home every night, local driver, whatever it is that you want to do. Know what you want to do from the beginning. Not to say that it won't change. It may change. You may say, hey, you know what? I did the local thing. Now I want to make a little bit more. I did the local thing. It's just me. I don't have any kids or family. You know, it was nice being home, but now I want to go explore, and I want to go, you know, state to state. Some people love OTR. Me, I hated it. Hated OTR. Like, I only drove OTR for realistically 1 year, and that was doing training. I did work for another company after that, and I was kind of like still doing some northern states. Like, you would still find me. You still will be able to find me, or used to be able to find me in like Cincinnati and all these different places like that. But I never went no further than Texas West and North. I never went to New York, but I did get up as high as to Delaware, up in the northern states, but that was it. And then I was pretty much done with that. So it all depends. The trucking business have so many different avenues, so many different ways that you can do it. And it's all about getting your experience first, because once you have that experience, and I tell you, 2 years is probably the magic number. 2 years. Once you have that 2 years under your belt, that 2 years of experience, you can open up the doors to do whatever part of the trucking business or industry that you want to do. You can do whatever part of the industry that you want to do. You can be local. You can drive local. You can drive tanker. You can drive that. You can drive flatbed, step deck. You know, you can pull other trucks. It doesn't matter. Reefer, of course, van. It's all up to you. The choice will be really yours at that 2 year mark. At that 2 year mark, that opened up the door for authority. I don't know nobody that's done it sooner, but from the information that I've seen and done myself, even when I was looking into getting my authority, anything that was less than 2 years, you will find difficulty in getting insured with less experience than that. So with the 2 years, that opened up the door for you to be able to, you know, get your authority, lease on a truck. Some companies don't even let you lease on a truck with them until you have at least 1 year or 1 year, 6 months, 2 years driving experience. You can't even lease a truck onto that. I did it, and I did it with a horrible company. The only company that I found that let me do it with less than a year of experience was Western Express. That was the whole reason I went there. And of course, we know how that ended. I worked there for 1 month and took the truck back. I wasn't making enough money to cover the truck payment on that lease with Quality. All right, I did a Quality lease. Now I hear Quality is checking your credit. So I don't even know if that's an option for you anymore, as far as like, you know, I remember when it first started out and I first started looking at lease trucks, everybody was going to get them Quality trucks because it was easy. All you had to do was find your way down to Indianapolis. That's where I went. They had another office somewhere else too. And you just show up like, hey, I want a truck. They take everybody out. You pick out one of any. They got like a yard of trucks. You just walk out there, find you one, and you know, do you a pre-trip on it, because you're gonna be looking at the one you about to buy. I don't know if they was letting you even take the truck to get an inspection and all of that. You probably could have, I'm not sure. But most people was just out there just looking at the trucks. All right, I like this one. I don't see any leaks. Okay, boom. Hey, I want this one. All right, they write it down. Boom, you go in the office and you sign up a contract. You leave with the truck. Just that easy. It was just that easy to get a Quality truck. But also too, the one of the stipulations behind that process was that they had a list of approved carriers that you can lease the truck onto. So you couldn't just take the truck and lease it onto anybody that you want to. And Landstar wasn't on that list, not at the time anyway. I didn't see him, but Landstar wouldn't have taken you anyway, because you have to have a certain amount of time of experience to drive with Landstar. So I took the truck. The only place that I could take it with the amount of experience that I had was Western Express. Took the truck to Western Express. 1 month, I was out of there. I had to go back company after that. So my point is, like, when you want to get your foot in the door, it really don't matter. You're gonna not make that much money starting out. You're not. I mean, you might make 500, 600, maybe 700, 800 a week, you know, after a couple months of training. But that's probably like the highest. I mean, you're not gonna see $1,000 a week unless, you know, unless I've never seen it done. You're not gonna make $1,000 a week starting out in the trucking business. You're gonna make $500 a week. That's what you're gonna make. I know some people make more than that. Yeah, I made 700, you know, at Prime, 800 at Prime right now, solo. Good, then go to Prime. Do your research. If Prime paying that type of money for brand new CDL holders, then I would say go to Prime. You know, they're gonna run you. You're gonna be out all 48 states. Go to Prime. They're gonna pay you real good. So I hear you can make $800 a week. But I was making $350 a week, $400. Then once I had a partner and I was team driving, I started making $5 and $6. And then of course 6 months at CR England, I was a trainer. 6 months. 6 months driving, I was training people. Now mind you, I know some people laughed at that because I've said this before too. Some people laughed at that. But like, what? You was a trainer at 6 months? Yeah, I think I was a pretty decent trainer at 6 months too. I didn't get in any accidents. The person that I was training didn't get in any accidents. And then once the trainee got their hours in, I dropped them off to the terminal. They passed their back in. They passed their road test and everything. And they went on to get their own truck and get with their own partner. So, I mean, you can laugh at the fact that I was only training at 6 months, but it sped up my process because my contract with CR England was only 9 months. So I drove the first 3 months with a partner, drove another 3 months, I had a different partner, and then 6 months I started training, so I only had 3 more months left. So I trained for 3 months, because 9 months I was gone. I was out the door at 9 months. I dropped the truck off at the terminal up near Atlanta, and I went home. And I never looked back. And then from that point, of course, like I said, I leased the truck on. I did the lease thing. Everybody was talking about the lease thing. Had to go back company. And then from that point, I went into getting my own authority. I did do containers too, though. Let me not leave that out. I did containers for about 6 months. And the containers rolled me right on into my authority. So that's pretty much how it went. So just know, I always had the goal that I was going to get my own truck, because I was trying to do it as soon as possible, as you can see. My goal was to get my own truck. You know, I did research on authority and stuff like that, so I didn't stay leased on all that long. I already knew what I wanted to do. And the best way and the best teacher and the best trainer is to me, the way that I learn things, I can listen to all these different avenues, and I can listen to all these different people on how to do things this way or that way. But the best way that's going to fit the way that you want to run and the way that you do things is to get out there, you know, put yourself in position to learn and try, and you will figure it out. You will get things going the way that you are wanting to go, and you're comfortable with it going. And that's what I did. And everybody can do it. Anybody can do it. That's what's so good about the trucking industry. Anybody can get in. It's not like a secret society or nothing like that. If you put in the work, get your training, you know, go to a school, get your foot in the door, get your CDL, become a CDL holder, you can do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. And it don't take, oh yeah, I got to be making all this type of money to get started. Nope, I didn't have no money to get started. I was working for $400 a week. That's where I started at. Like everybody else, I didn't have an uncle, and I went to go drive his truck, and he was paying me $1,000 a week straight out of trucking school. That didn't happen for me. It's not going to happen for most people that drive trucks. Everybody don't got that type family members that got truck and got a whole fleet that, and they're going to put you in a truck. If you got to start from the bottom like I did, and you can probably make $400 a week starting out. But it's the sacrifice you got to make to get to where you want to go. So that's what it is. But anyways, guys, as usual, like, share, subscribe if you want. And until next time, see you in the next video.